According to the Minecraft wiki, there is a total of 6 separate game drops that came or will be coming inside the update, and I figured it'd be fun to look back and rank every single one of them from the absolute best to the utter worst. So the Bats and Pots update is an update I honestly completely forgot about. For some reason I thought these things came in with the Trial Chambers update. But that's not exactly how it happened. Pots actually came in as its own separate update, and alongside it, a brand new bat model actually got introduced too. And I do like Pots, I do like what they add in terms of like decoration and things like that, but I think because I completely forgot that this was like a drop on its own, I don't really have too much high praises for it. I think it's fine as is, it's just something that's not too memorable. The Armored Paws update, one of the first major game drops that came to Minecraft. I guess Bats and Pots was like a drop, but the Armored Paws was like advertised and things like that as a major drop, and it really showed with what it added. From the armadillo to the skew to the new wolf variants to the armor for the wolves, like there was a lot of things related to pets and related to this brand new mob that came inside that one update. And it is somewhat memorable considering, again, it was like the first major drop that came into Minecraft if we exclude the Bats and Pots update, which we probably shouldn't, but all things considered, this was like the first one that we knew was going to be a game drop. And I think overall, yeah, it's okay. I never really have any wolves to begin with. I never really have anything like that. But I think it's just marginally above the Bats and Pots update. Mainly because, again, I don't really have that many wolves in my world in traditional fashions. So I guess I don't really have a reason to get a whole bunch of armor or armadillos and things like that. But I know a lot of people do like that update, which is why it's a bit higher than the Bats and Pots update. Oh, but the Bundles of Bravery update, one of the final features that was coming inside of the Caves and Cliffs update, finally made it inside this one update. And on top of that, for Bedrock players, we finally saw hardcore that actually came inside the game as well. Meaning, yeah, despite like not being too major, at least when it comes to like parity, or at least when it comes to like brand new features, the fact is that these things actually really did help in some ways with like sorting out your inventory to an extent and giving you a brand new way in actually playing the game when it comes to hardcore. And well, again, I don't think bundles on their own is like sufficient enough to fix the inventory problem, and I don't think hardcore alone is sufficient enough to play Minecraft over and over again for people who are burned out or something like that. But for a parity feature we've wanted for such a long time, for something we've wanted for several years at this point, for some fix to actually come inside the game for inventory problems, it is actually a pretty solid update, and I'm going to put this in the higher B tier. Currently, the biggest game drop we have seen, the Garden Awakens update, adding the whole of the Pale Garden, the whole of the Pale blocks with the Pale Oak wood and things like that, the creaking, resin, and plenty of other different types of things like that. Like, in the case you were looking for like a pretty big game drop, this one is pretty much going to be the biggest one we have seen so far, with plenty of reasons to go to the Pale Garden, with plenty of new blocks, with plenty of things like that. So I think as far as game drops go, actually I'm going to put this pretty high up. Like, for game drop standards, this is actually a really good update. Could there have been more inside of it? Probably. But as it is, as it stands, I think this is one of the best game drops we have seen thus far. Isn't it kind of weird how the Spring to Life update and the Garden Awakens update both have things to do with like nature and things like that? I don't know, maybe they could have combined it into one single update, but as is, Spring to Life is fine. It's totally fine. It did add a bunch of different types of things, such as like the leaf litter, such as like a whole bunch of like natural things, such as new eggs, new mob variants, new things to do with wandering traders and cartographers and things like that. And I guess on the whole, it's a pretty decent sized update. I just think most of the things inside the update are just things you won't even think about inside your world. Like, how many people honestly think about bushes or think about the new flower on top of cactus or something like that? I mean, the Wandering Trader changes, I will say, is a pretty welcoming thing. Not necessarily for late game players, but for early game players, Wandering Traders are going to be your new best friend as of this one update. So I think with that, I will put it maybe like on the upper end of B2, all things considered, even though, like, I'm not necessarily entirely happy. Maybe the lower end of B. Maybe that'll be better. Yeah, actually, I think this is fine. This is fine. The most recent update coming out, and I think generally, yeah, it's alright. Now, let's be honest, there's not like a huge amount of features inside of here. Maybe like 3 if you want to count it that way. Plus maybe a few extra technical things. We of course have the dried gas, we have the happy gas, we have the harness for the happy gas, we have the lead changes, we have the Tears music disc, we have a good number of things. I just think this update would have benefited better if there were just a few more things inside of it. Now, with that said, with what's inside of it, I do think everything we did see is actually pretty good. With again, the ability to craft saddles, the new lead changes, the happy gas of course, and Tears. Tears is just fantastic. It's the modern pig step of 2025. So I think with that, I'd probably put it on the lower end of B, but maybe on the upper end of C, but either way, roughly around there. But yeah, this is roughly what I think about all the game drops we have seen so far, most of which, pretty average, all things considered, some of which have some pretty noteworthy things, but honestly, there's not really anything like huge or anything like majorly game-changing inside of them. Okay, I was totally wrong. There totally is. But I think as a whole, if you were to judge like the drops on their own, separate from like the main game updates, and I think generally they're fine. They could be way better, but I think overall, every single game drop is pretty okay and a pretty welcoming addition to the game every single time one of them comes out.